God, Battleground Pool. Thank you for saving me. Towers of Doom is the choice. It's a Tempo Storm's choice.
It's also another potential Medivh map here.
Yeah.
And so that does kind of keep things in consideration. They're really good on this map at controlling rotations, controlling the battleground overall. Simplicity, though, no slouch on this battleground. They had early success against Gale Force in the first week, so they're more than capable of controlling this battleground. So Towers of Doom for me, after we saw the early, so the Dahaka pick, right? So we wondered, would we see Zeratul? Would we see whatever? Malthael was picked up really early by Simplicity. But every single time, Dragonshire, heavy solo lane. Towers of Doom, heavy solo lane. Every time that camp was up at the bottom, Glaurung would come down. And there was no answer for it. And they had to give it up. This would be far more detrimental on Towers of Doom. So I think you got to draft around that.
Even with On a Pale Horse, that series, it's too much of a difference having the stock, and your Malthael takes time to push waves. The big deal is how much harassment he gives to his fellow solo laners. So that Glaurung could go down, stock down, know that it's going to take some time for Malthael to clear that wave out, and then he makes it back up. There's a lot of bushes in between there that he can use that movement speed advantage, run all the way back up. He really wasn't losing too much out in experience, and it was worth it that they had so much structure damage done.
Yeah, it really opened things up, strategically worked out really well for Tempo Storm. Known to have quite a few strategies, and you know, hero pool wise, Fan and Song going into this week were tied for the most heroes played in North America. I mean, obviously they've played a lot of games, but in terms of diversity, it's obviously been there. And that's the one thing about the strength of this team is their diversity. If you look at their history, it doesn't matter what role that they've been on, all of these players have done well on said role. Right now, the good thing for them is they're all in their best role. And so if it comes time to go into another role, they're more suited for that. And that's the glory of this team. That's why it functions so well, and that's why they're projected to be one of the top teams in North America.
It reminds me of this old Chinese team. I say old, but I guess they disbanded early last year, Zero Panda. When Zero Panda was at their height, they had their tank and support player played like 3 heroes for an entire Gold League, like entire season. Were not changing. They just knew the kind of playstyles, they knew the synergy between those two, and then their damage dealers were just like so many different heroes. They were the ones who were flexing around, and then they knew that they had this solid support system around them. And that's what I feel like with Caterpillar, though we've seen a lot of different supports for June 2. He's sticking to generally the same ones, with the exception of maybe an Alex Straza on Shrines or something else, but it's working out well for Tempo Storm. We've got the Shimada band. Simplicity takes Tyrael.
Tyrael, high priority. And we've seen it in multiple styles, whether it's been that off-tank bruiser role or whether it's been the main tank. And there's a lot of flexibility around that. It's been paired really well with Greymane so far. Greymane, though, Tempo Storm, they had that. See if they go that route again. If we get Greymane Medivh right out of the gate, Tyrael's much better for that.
We'll be able to help out a lot more with that. He also gives some help with supporting Holy Grounds around the portal, as long as you're rocking that out, or even just trying to zone people away from it too.
There's a lot that Tempo Storm can do. They're probably one of the hardest teams to prepare for draft-wise, just because of their flexibility. From a player and a caster perspective, you're just like, well, we kind of know what they like to play, but they like to do a lot of things. T-Sprung, for instance.
Would you T-Sprung on Towers of Doom? Malthael Lucio.
If I'm not mistaken, June has not died in 4 games on Lucio.
Ooh, really?
I have that somewhere in my notes.
You are right.
4 games, 0 death.
4 games, too. So, you
not like, all right, we got 1 or 2. It's 4
yeah.
games. Like, that's impressive.
That is awesome. Also, I don't think Malthael Lucio has lost yet as a combination. Let me just check the stats thing. Lucio Malthael, yeah, 5 out of 5 games together going into this weekend. The 2 times that we saw Gale Force play it, they won with it yesterday too. So it's a pretty good combo. Not
too shabby. It's Towers of Doom. Both do well on this battleground. Malthael, of course, we mentioned the solo lane prospect. And if you're Simplicity, it almost feels like you have to go Dahaka here Dahaka has been a highly prioritized hero. If it doesn't make it through, Simplicity could use it in the same way Tempo did, but Tempo's obviously on this map been more adept to rotating down with the Malthael on a Pale Horse. Instead, we get another global in the form of Falstad.
Another Falstad. And it was also against Malthael, I do believe. Yep. Nope. Zeratol. My brain's doing funny things. Either way, Malthael Lucio is picked into Ethereal, so at least Simplicity have one way of trying to counter the Tormented Souls, get through that crucial heroic ability. And now they have a Gust too, so lots of different ways of being able to try to control fights. Tempo Storm are going to stop for an ETC pick, so they think that Ethereal is going to be more of a off laner, the secondary warrior.
He could be. I mean, I don't know how Ethereal stacks up against Malthael. I'm sure it's probably the same, where eventually Malthael kind of, eventually whittles you down, and it's just a frustrating playstyle. But Towers of Doom, when the objective forms, it's obviously a much different rotation. If Tyrael is the offlaner, we still need the main tank. I'm okay with that. We haven't seen Blaze just yet from these teams.
Could be Tyrael, could be Falstad, could be Tyrael and then Falstad. There's some options for Simplicity. Though Medivh ban, so that's not one of them. Not one of them for Tempo. But Ragnaros.
Lots of melee.
Ooh.
Lots of melee.
What?
I don't know.
But
Solo tank Dahaka.
what? I'm just gonna write
I told you they're the hardest team to prepare for draft-wise. I'm glad they just kind of further exemplify that point, because Malthael Ragnaros Dahaka. Don't think I've seen that one before.
Caterpillar used to play the side laner melee role, so he can play that Dahaka. You've got probably Fan Malthael, Glaurung Ragnaros is what I would think. Fan used to play Malthael even when he was playing more of a range role for Gale Force. He would switch over to Malthael when they played more of a melee heavy composition, and Glaurung's been playing a lot of Ragnaros, but it's who knows. So Blaze we're gonna get
a lot of control.
This is every solo laner. Okay, last pick Leoric. It's just gotta be, right?
There's still some, yeah.
That's true. And Thrall.
I really wondered if we would get Stukov there. Stukov does well against a lot of heavy melee. The only problem is Dahaka generally comes in from behind you. I think that normally causes problems for Stukov. I mean, surely we get some range damage here, right?
You got meteors from Ragnaros. You're good. You're solid.
This is like you're playing a game, you queue up for quick match, and you're like, all right, our draft is normal, what they gave us. And then you look at the other, and it's like, man, that is such a weird one. Like, we should win this, but like, wait a minute.
Four specialists in a Brightwing?
You're like, why am I losing? Like, you just look up, you're like, it doesn't look normal, but somehow it's working. And Tempo Storm can pull off the unusual.
It weirds me out that this happened, and then we're all the way down to 10 seconds trying to figure out what that last pick is, but I'm sure there's a... It feels like someone's playing with their food. And I'm not talking about me.
Well, they had some Hanzo cake last game, apparently.
Yeah. Let's talk about what we know. It's Towers of Doom. We saw Ragnaros, who's going to be played by Fan. Cattle's going to play the Malthael. Psalm's on his Kerrigan. So...
individually, all of these heroes work, right? And so generally you have Dahaka as your solo laner.
Yeah.
You have Malthael as a potential solo laner. You have Ragnaros as a potential solo laner. Ragnaros obviously gives you that molten core, that contention around there, but this is a full-on engagement.
They got a global. You got early picks. Falstad's going to be scared.
I'm scared for Falstad.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of tools to deal with that
A 10?
composition. At 10, yeah.
At 10, I'm worried about 1 through 9.
3-10.
Yeah.
Just slowly snowballing out of control.
Maybe. Let's do it.
You know, when I said they're the hardest team to prepare for draft-wise, I was like, okay, you know, this really makes it, you know, hard to prepare for after we saw the first 4 picks, and they come in with a 5th pick of Kerrigan, and I'm just like, all right, well, I don't know anymore.
If we see Tempo Storm win dominantly with this comp, I think it would be really cool, because it would remind me of a certain team from Korea who liked to, if they felt like they were so strong in a game, pick things like Gazlo. I don't know if we'll see it go that far, but
they also picked the Butcher.
Yeah, they did.
Versus Usonia.
We're talking about KSD Black. BT Dubs, they got 3-0'd by Tempest.
You know, sometimes you got to warm up the engine a little bit before you get started. They've been pretty solid since then.
That's true. They 3-0'd in their next series. All right, King Caffeine playing the Blaze is something exciting. Som goes for a combo, catches Blaze, but now gets hit or caught Tyrael and was hit from the jet propulsion after the fact. We'll be keeping a big eye out for any build adjustments. The only thing I see is on a Pale Horse. There's the new habits again for the Unstoppable. It's probably going to be necessary for Blaze, looking at what Tempo Storm has in store for them.
I almost wondered with the Blaze if that would have been an Arthas to really deal with that, all the auto attacks that you could potentially be thwarting and controlling that. The Blaze, with the slow from the oil, I mean, there's a lot of counterplay, potential bunker as well.
Yeah, and he also can get nanomachine coating for auto attack slows with the oil at 16 too. Tempo Storm goes for the invade, looking pretty good at it so far, although Hosty flying in was seeing if he could get a flank around. Nearly catches a June, would have given that first June death, but June's gonna speed back in cautiously with a drag. Tempo Storm take out Greymane for first blood.
First of what could potentially be many for both of these teams. I mean, there is so much potential for team fighting. I wonder if we're going to see the Vengeful Roots, the little broccoli build coming out from Malfurion to really take advantage of that heavy front line.
Really?
I mean, we've seen it earlier today. We saw it last game from June. There are teams that are running it. It's been really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, all of the abilities at 4 have been chosen. Oh, we've seen some Strangling Vines too. For some heal reduction, maybe that's the case. If Simplicity feels like they need that heal reduction, longer roots with so many melee, trying to keep them locked down while they do the damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deep roots.
Yeah, I wonder how this comes up. Like, you're in scrims, you're like, guys, what if we just run like 3 melee assassins, a Dahaka, and a Lucio? Like, it's something. I mean, these guys obviously put a lot of time in, so they have adequate time to experiment. But how does it evolve? Like, who's the first person to say, hey, I think we should do this?
I think that's been one of my favorite things about Tempo Storm. Though they have a penchant for falling behind early and then having to make those comebacks, like versus Team 12 they did. They're going to get ahead early with that kill there. And Som gets the movement speed to get away, although Cattle's going to keep on Zuna. Like Elmer's glue. He'll take him out. Tempo Storm has shown so much flexibility, not only within their individual hero pools, but just composition types. They played against Team 12, went all the way to Game 5, won it, showed some cool Alex Strauss at Ragnaros play. Then they go into their next series that very weekend versus Freedom. They play the Cho'Gall. It was a practice strategy for them. That was not them just thinking on the fly. They had been practicing that strategy. They've practiced a lot of different strategies, and that they are just using that flexibility in a good way, being able to continually try to throw their opponents off. Freedom responded really well to that, and that's what let Freedom win that series versus all that flexibility, was the response on the fly. But I don't know if Simplicity will be able to do it. They're going to do their best in this game, though.
They are. They've come up short on a couple of kills so far, and the counter kills by Tempo Storm. It's amounted to a full level lead and control over the battleground here in the early game. And as you said, post level 10 will be a lot easier for Simplicity. You've got Holy Ground. You've got a lot of control from Blaze. You've got the disengage with the Mighty Gust. Urho, however.
All right, you're gonna get the Archangel's Wrath. That does some damage. Simplicity's not keeping up with that though. They're keeping Blaze and Falstad in the lane to do what they can, salvaging the situation, keeping them in the experience, so that they might be able to team fight as soon as they get to 10 and get those helpful heroics. The difficult point for them, though, is how much they lose in the process. Tempo Storm has made it their business to take this bottom lane, the bottom bell tower. It's going to help with that altar pickup, too, especially as they're getting close to 10. But here comes the flight, and here comes Blaze from the side.
They're coming, but the combo lands, and K1 Pro caught in the middle of it. He's going to go down. Saw him jumping back onto King Caffeine. He should fall here momentarily. That's 2 more kills. We've got a 2-level lead. And Tempo Storm seems to have Simplicity against the ropes early here with this composition.
That was the game plan. That's what Psalm told us. 2 levels ahead as they get heroic abilities. Nothing changed off of that, and pretty standard builds that you would expect from that. The only difference is we've seen this a little bit more Sonic Amplifier instead of the Boombox. For Simplicity, it's rough going for the next few minutes.
Here's the engagement. I mean, all eyes on Psalm. K1 Pro's doing his best to juke. The minute he puts out a little bit of damage, it causes him to hesitate for a second, and it makes it that much easier to land that. If you're constantly moving, it makes it a bit easier. That moment of hesitation, capitalized on it.
Things will change significantly for Simplicity once they get 10. We have talked about that. Sanctification and Gust are all great ways of being able to help. They're trying to get a gank so that they can further their experience and get to that 10 faster. Twilight Dream also will be huge versus this all melee composition. Although as long as June is around for a sound barrier, should be able to help at least give the shielding to help them survive versus that. Glaurung pulls Airho back from the gate, saying you're coming with me. Tempo Storm, no more kills, but this whole time they have forced a lot of Simplicity up to the top lane, while June does his best to escort some sappers down.
I mean, you know you're feeling pretty good when your support is solo while you go look for ganks in the top lane. I mean, heroics are plenty to keep them alive. I would have really considered this wild if they had gone Lava Wave. I mean, at this point, I don't know what to expect. Obviously, just no way possible here on Towers of Doom, but starting to make me wonder.
Question all things. Where Tempo Storm's drafting has been, all things are possible, I think is a better way of looking at that. Anything is possible. You can expect to see anything. Psalm has started the channel, but Simplicity are ready to fight with their heroic abilities as Hosty flies in. Zuna in danger, caught by a drag. Glaurung takes him out for the Sanctification, where the Roots can save him. Ragnaros behind all of this. There's nowhere to run, Simplicity.
Trying to get in the bunker. Hosty not able to. 3 members go down. Molten Core just terrorizing Simplicity here.
That was awesome for Tempo. That flank, they love their Ragnaros flanks. Oh, it's rough.
Well, we've got a 2.5 level lead. 1 keep down. I mean, there's just the flank from Glaurung there. And then they're just going to be grouped up. Hosty is isolated there. He's doing everything he can. He gets in the bunker, tries to go out, then needs to get back in. They're just, I mean, Tempo Storm is just full-on assault mode right now.
I think that's a good way to describe it. Probably an unexpected draft from Simplicity, or for Simplicity, seeing in Tempo Storm. Has set them back 10 kills to 0. 36 to 19 for the core health. As Tempo Storm begins another escort quest. Bunker will be used just to flamethrower those away.
Easy target right there. They still, I mean, this is what we see a lot of the top teams do. They hold on to this bottom lane and they just do not let go. They use 1 person, as we can see on the mini-map. Kerrigan will move off to grab the sappers. The rest hold there. Glaurung, of course, will have his global. And the other 3 remaining members will just hold. I mean, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, if you stay there and you commit too much time to taking it back, you're missing out on experience in the other lanes. And then you get further behind. But how much does this bottom lane control? Fortunately for Simplicity, the next altar phase, double top lane.
Yeah, the timing for Tempo Storm is impeccable. It is double top lane, but there's sappers in the bottom. And there's a Ragnaros who's hanging around there too. The call has been made for Simplicity. They're just going to abandon those sappers, abandon the Ragnaros, because while those 3 shots might be escorted in, if they can try to contest both of these altars, then they can at least stop any more from happening. Plus, up in the top, the boss is around there too. So they needed to go up. They don't have 13. They're not contesting Tempo Storm's safe altar. That'll be grabbed by Som. Hosty has been kept in the bottom now as trying to deal with those sappers and stop them from going in. And he will do it.
We're 10 seconds away from the next sapper camp. So it's up to Simplicity to that's their opportunity to fight. I mean, you're down. You don't have 13. Getting a boss is nice, but you're almost relenting control. It takes away a potential win condition from Tempo Storm. That's about it. But Tempo looks like they're willing to come up here and give it a go.
Wow, Som there. Sanctification immediately as Maelstrom goes down. Sound barrier as June speeds his way on up with the bunker on the point. The point is controlled by Simplicity, but Tempo Storm are willing to make the fight anyway. Twilight Dream goes down, but it's not enough to save Malfurion's life, as with Caterpillar on every member of Simplicity, they will get 3 quick kills as Hosty is chased down, brought down, and Tyrael, the lone survivor.
The lone survivor, Tempo Storm, you know, despite giving up the boss, finds themselves 4 more kills. They're going to get themselves even more control. They're going to look to push this in casually. I mean, things start off good with the Sanctification, but after that expires, it falls apart quickly.
Yeah, I think Tempo were always just about forcing that Sanctification out earlier. They used the Maelstrom, they had Sulfurous Smash. Hosty gusts them in, but it just puts them even into a better position to catch the rest of Simplicity. It was just about forcing out that Sanctification. Yeah, Simplicity got 4 shots, but it was 36 to the 14 now of Simplicity, and that just skyrocketed Tempo ahead. They're at 16 to 13. And with the next altar phase being the triple, it's looking rough for them.
Yeah, they still have Falstad on the bottom, although Falstad's flying up. There's sappers pushing in. Molten Core in a great position here. The slow is being used for the moment to try and keep it down. Fortified bunker, the gust. They've got Cattle and Glaurung on one side. Things are split, but they are collapsing here onto Simplicity.
Yeah. Zuna steps back out with the armor from that. Molten Core is done. Tempo Storm channels. 5 more shots set the core of Simplicity to 3, making that a sapper camp, which is in the bottom. Tempo Storm are keeping Simplicity here. They take out Tyrael. They're continuing the fight. The sappers go in, and the game is over.
One of the most unusual drafts I think I have ever seen results in 15 kills to 0.
They dominated.
Just a bit. I mean, if you're Simplicity, you're going into the next draft, you're like, what do we ban? I mean, because it seems like for Tempo Storm, everything is on the table.
Yeah.
Everything.
And they can play it.
Yeah.
That's what's awesome, too. It's not just about the fact that they can draft it. They can play it. I would be scared. I would just be scared just of 15 kills to 0. Tempo are on a rampage.
They are. You know, it's 2 games to 0. Simplicity lost the first game. They elected to give up map pick. I know that they're going to prioritize first pick, but I almost think that they might need to take Battleground if they're choosing to try and get on an even level here and get themselves back into the series.
Well, they got some time to figure that out as we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll see what Simplicity wants to choose and what they decide. And if Tempo Storm can clear out the series 3-0. See you soon.